Next speaker, Caputi, is an Iraq vet and a student at Boston University, where he's a member of the Anti-War Coalition and Students for Justice in Palestine. He's the director of Justice for Fallujah Project, and he's here tonight to speak to everybody.
So, I was in the second assault of Fallujah, which was probably the most blatant example of the cruelty and viciousness for which the U.S. occupation of Iraq has become infamous. I saw firsthand our concern for freedom and democracy in Iraq as we killed civilians, looted homes, and bulldozed entire neighborhoods. And I'm not talking about isolated incidents from a few crazy individuals. Our chain of command sanctioned all of this. They sanctioned tactics like reconnaissance by fire, which is when you fire into a house to see if someone is inside of it. And they sanctioned the use of chemical weapons like white phosphorus and depleted uranium munitions. It pains me now that I know that the second assault of Fallujah was nothing more than a media stunt, and that my government was willing to risk my life and the lives of my friends and the lives of all the people in Fallujah so that they could have a display of force broadcast across the planet. Their intentions were very clear. They wanted to send a message by crushing the Iraqi resistance before the Iraqi elections in 2005. And to do this, they were willing to send as many people to their deaths as they had to. They got their display of force all right, and it was celebrated all over the corporate media. They called it a victory and a turning point in the war, and they even called it a liberation. But they made no mention of the 1,000+ civilians who were killed in the assault and the 200,000 that were forced to become refugees. To this day, people come up to me and they thank me for my service, and I never know what to say to them. I never know whether or not I should try to explain to them that in Iraq, I was very obviously not doing a service to the American people. And even more obviously, I was not doing a service to Iraqis. But I was, as clear as day, doing a huge service to the Kellogg Brown and Root Contracting Company as I drove convoys for them all over Iraq and stood security for them on their work sites so that they could pretend to fulfill their no-bid government contracts. The wool has been pulled over our eyes and the noose around our necks is slowly being tightened. But when I look around, I don't see the sense of urgency that I think this deserves. If you're not wealthy, you should be nervous, because the economic crisis is far from over, and our president has made it clear that we are somewhere on the far end of his list of priorities. Somewhere after things. But as Americans, we're still in a relatively privileged position compared to the rest of the world. Our situation is nowhere near as desperate as that of Iraqis, or Afghanis, or Colombians, or Palestinians, or Ecuadorians, and the list goes on. The world is in a very dire state right now. Poverty, violence, and misery are on the rise, and there's a pending ecological disaster hanging over our heads, just to make things interesting. Environmental scientists are screaming at the top of their lungs that if drastic changes in our levels of consumption and pollution in the next few years, if these changes are not made in the next few years, global climate change will cause disease, famine, and unpredictable suffering for the majority of the world's population. It is completely within our means to avoid this disaster, but that is also not a priority amongst the rich and the powerful. I hate to be a downer, but I just want to remind everyone that this is serious, that this is life or death, and it is no exaggeration at all to say that the fate of the world is in our hands. In fact, it would be false to say otherwise, because our leaders have made it clear over and over again that they just do not consider us a priority. Thank you.